Sure. So, all right, let's get started. So again, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining our webinar. Before we get started, I just want to do some quick intros in case you don't know who we are. So I'm Daniel. I'm a marketing manager here at Playground. And of course, we're joined here with Molly, our head of payroll, our product expert. She knows everything about the product through and through. So we're super lucky to have her here with us today. Before I hand it off to Molly, though, I just want to take you through our agenda for today's webinar and just let you know what we're going to run through. We'll kick it off with a quick intro to payroll, how you can pay staff with payroll. Then we'll move on to using payroll for taxes, before moving on to a live product demo. And then we'll finally wrap it up with a Q&A and let you know how you can get started with payroll. And also for webinar attendees today that do sign up to payroll today, we do have a special discount for you, and we'll let you know more about that towards the end. So over to Molly. Molly, thank you. Take it away.
Thank you, Danielle. First, I'd like to tell you guys a little bit about our payroll origin story. Playground knows how painful it can be to run payroll for childcare, and we wanted to enhance the product by creating our own payroll solution, truly built for childcare providers. And you've probably heard us say before that we're an all-in-one option for CCMS. And our vision is really to be the only software you need to run a successful childcare business. So I'm really excited that about a year ago, we brought payroll into our system, especially because I'm just a huge payroll nerd, but it truly makes our platform the allest in oneest. So the first important piece of a payroll system is a way to schedule your employees and track their attendance. A good scheduling system will allow you to record absences and paid time off. So if you have PTO policies, you want a good system to record those paid absences so they don't slip through the cracks and go directly to your payroll. Next, you have to actually pay the employees for the hours they worked. And it's best practice to pay employees by direct deposit, but you can still pay them by check. That's still a very compliant way to run payroll. Then you have to pay your taxes. So there's employee and employer taxes, which we'll take a deeper look at in a few minutes. And then finally, it's nice to have a system that can support benefits like health insurance or childcare deductions. Even if you don't offer them now as your business grows, it's something that is nice to have available to you down the line. The Playground CCMS has built-in employee time tracking. So I think a couple of you are not on payroll yet or are getting set up now. So you still could be using our time tracking already because it's already included in your CCMS. With our solution, employees clock in and out on Playground, and then those hours flow directly. Additionally, any paid time off scheduled will flow to payroll as well. In the first step of the payroll process, you approve those hours, and then you approve payroll. Having payroll integrated within Playground removes that step of pulling the staff hour report and then adding up all those hours and then manually typing them into your payroll provider. It reduces time and it also reduces the area for human mistake that can happen when you're typing things in. So how do childcare businesses actually pay your staff? And this is where I mentioned that I would touch a little bit on how family childcare pays their staff and themselves. So the first option is that owners can take a dividend of profits. This is called an owner's draw. So that means that you as the owner of the business can draw cash from the business account and put it into your personal account. With this option, you pay taxes on those earnings at the end of the year. And I've heard a lot of owners of centers who do this and family childcare providers who do this, and they get really burdened at the end of the year with all the taxes that are owed. They'd much prefer to just be a W-2 employee and pay those taxes throughout the year. One little thing to mention is that if your business is set up as a sole proprietorship and you are the owner, you'll have to convert to an LLC or corporation in order to pay yourself as a W-2 employee. Which brings me to the next option. You can pay your staff as W-2 employees. And third option is paying your staff as contractors, so giving them 1099 wages or cash.
Hey, Molly, I have a question. What happens if I pay an employee as a contractor when they should have been a W-2 employee?
That is a great question. So this screen tells us a little bit about what differentiates a W-2 employee and a contractor is a very specific type of person giving services to your business. So these people have control over how, when, and where they work. And the work that they do must be project-based or temporary, and they must provide their own tools to complete the work. So that doesn't really sound like a teacher. A better example would be like someone who's building a play structure for your school or designing a website for you. It generally doesn't apply to teachers. And like Daniel mentioned, there can be some issues with paying staff who really should be W-2 employees as contractors. It could result in hefty tax penalties. Let me explain a little bit more. If a contractor is terminated from your school, they could apply for unemployment benefits with your state. When your state goes to look up your business, they would see that unemployment taxes were not paid on that employee. And then the state would open a case to determine whether the employee should have been paid as a W-2 employee instead of a contractor. And if it's the situation that you're setting someone's schedule and they have an expected time to be at work, more times than not, they will side with the employee. If they do decide in the employee's favor, they will charge you for all the taxes that should have been paid on the employee's wages for the entire time that they're with you. And they'll also assess penalties for filing late. So that's a huge mess that I don't recommend going through, but it can all be avoided by making sure that you are appropriately classifying your W-2 employees first contractors. And now for the fun part, payroll taxes. I promise it's not that scary. There's two types of payroll taxes, employer paid and employee paid. Employer taxes are paid in lump sums to the tax agencies, and employee paid taxes are deducted from employee paychecks. So for federal taxes, that includes Social Security, Medicare, federal unemployment, and for employees, it also includes federal income tax. State tax differs from state to state. In some states, there are additional local taxes, but generally it includes unemployment tax for the employer and state income tax for the employee. Now, how do those payroll taxes that you owe get off to the agencies? There's 3 agencies that you'll need to send taxes to: the Department of Labor, the Department of Revenue, and the IRS. If you're running payroll yourself, you're doing manual payroll, it would be your responsibility to send these taxes off to the agencies on a monthly, quarterly, and/or annual basis. If you're using software to run payroll, these taxes may be sent off by the software, but not all softwares provide the service. With Playground Payroll, we withhold the taxes owed from every payroll and send them off to the agencies when they are due. This takes the burden of making tax payments off your hands, and it also helps with budgeting because instead of a big lump sum coming due every month or quarter, the taxes are paid in equal amounts every time you run payroll.
Ollie, that's awesome. But before we jump into pricing and how to add payroll, do you think we can take a look at the product?
I would love to show you the product. We're going to hop into my little demo school here. And this is the payroll dashboard. So for some of you, this may be locked. You might see a blue up arrow. This is what is behind that locked screen. And for others of you, you may still be on payroll onboarding status. So this full screen is not available to you yet, but I'm going to walk you through what it looks like. So here we have our upcoming payrolls. I've set this school up on a bi-weekly pay schedule. However, we support all of the standard industry pay schedules, which are weekly, bi-weekly, semi-monthly, and monthly. So the system tells me that I have a payroll coming due today to be paid out on the 18th. So I'm going to open up this payroll. Let me just refresh my screen. So I'll open up this one. You can always run an off-cycle payroll. So if for some reason there is something happening with your standard payroll, or you need to pay an employee because they've been terminated, you can run an off-cycle payroll. Okay, on the first screen, I have all of my employees who will be paid in this pay run. On the next screen, I can confirm their hours worked. So if I take a look at Josh, I see he is a salaried employee making 100,000 a year, and he worked 86 hours this period. For Jeff, he worked 57 hours of regular wages, 0.12 of overtime wages, and he received 32 hours of PTO. I'm actually going to hop out of this pay run because I want to show you, this is an off-cycle payroll, which doesn't give you the chance to approve timesheets. So I'm going to open up this payroll here so we can see what those timesheets look like. The first step on a regular pay run, so any of your regularly scheduled pay runs, the first step would be to approve those timesheets. And of course, I set up like a perfect payroll in the system to show you all, but for some reason it wouldn't let me open it. So we'll run with this one. So here we have Josh's hours worked. And you can see here that there's a timeout missing. So I'm approving his hours and I can add that timeout that's missing. So let's say he left at noon today. I can add that missing timeout. And then I can also scan this list for anything that looks incorrect. So let's say he clocked out late on Monday. It was supposed to be 12:52. I can update that and approve his timesheet. So this first screen gives you the chance to approve all the employees' timesheets. This might be something that in the past you have gone through each staff one by one to take a look at their timesheet. Now it's here all on one screen for you. Let's see, we're still missing one clock out for Jeff. Let's add the time that he left. Okay, now that I've reviewed all the employees' timesheets, we are ready to move on to the next screen, which is reviewing the employee pay. That's the screen I was on before when I was showing you the off-cycle payroll. So for Josh, he's salaried, so he's getting a base pay of $100,000. And for Jeff, he's hourly and he clocked 50 hours. And let's say Wilfred is hourly and he just forgot to clock in all week and I didn't want to go through the trouble of adding his times, but I know that he worked 5 hours. So I'm just going to add 5 hours right here. And then let's say Jeff won Employee of the Month. So Jeff gets a $50 bonus. I can click add earning and then I can find bonus and Jeff gets a $50 bonus. Let's throw another fun one in here. We'll make it a complicated payroll. Josh spent $50 at Walmart to buy materials for the classroom and we need to reimburse him, but that reimbursement is not taxable. So we have a special reimbursement type on here where we can add that to his pay without it being taxed. So there's our $50 reimbursement for Josh. On the next screen, we'll review our contractor pay. So Playground still lets you pay contractors. I know I mentioned that it's not always the most compliant way to pay your staff, but there are cases where you do have contractors who maybe provide a service for you or just come in for a day and receive a contractor payment. On the final screen, we will review all the information for this payroll. So we have all of the employer amounts here. So everything that the employer is paying in payroll taxes for this employee and everything the employee is having deducted from their paycheck. We give you a summary for all of these different tax types. So you can see the total amount that is being deducted for each agency. At the top, we show you the total amount that's going to employees, the total that you are paying in employer taxes, and the total that will be withdrawn from your bank account to fund this payroll. Finally, we can add a check number since we have in here that Jeff is going to be paid by check. He doesn't receive direct deposits. So I can say that I'm 572. And then after I approve that payroll, I can even print his check. So I'll go ahead and approve this payroll. And that is it. The process is really easy. It's probably going to be even easier for you because you don't add 5 different things to the payroll like I just did. We can also open it back up if we need to make any changes, which is a really nifty feature. Okay, Daniel, do you have anything you want me to add before we hop back to the slides?
No, I think that was perfect. I think we can jump back to the slides and talk about getting started with payroll. So payroll is an add-on to your existing Playground subscription. So it includes everything you see there on the right, and it's for $40 a month. That's your base price for payroll. And then for every employee that you're processing through Playground's payroll, it'll be $10 per month per employee. But for webinar attendees that get payroll today, we're going to give you a special offer and we're going to waive the base fee for the second month. Molly, would you mind just clicking the next arrow so it shows up?
Yeah.
Yes. So your second month of payroll will be completely zero, your base fee. You'll still need to pay that $10 per employee for the month, your second month. But yes, we will waive the base fee for your second month for webinar attendees today. There'll be more communication around this in the emails that go out after the webinar. You can also reach out to Molly directly following the webinar. We can get that started. But yeah, we'll definitely give you some more information on that. Molly, I did have a question as we move on from pricing, unless you wanted to add anything here.
I'm gonna add one little thing on pricing.
Go for
So
it.
$10 per employee per month. That's only for employees that you pay. I know this is a common question because, like, what if I have 20 employees in Playground, but I only am paying 15 of them? We are tracking exactly how many employees you pay through the month. So if you only end up paying 15 employees, you only get charged for those 15. And then additionally, the prices that you see on the screen are the only prices you'll pay for payroll. We don't charge any extra fees. So when the W-2s go out to employees at the end of the year, you're not paying per W-2 that goes out. It's really transparent pricing. Only thing you'll pay is $40 per month plus $10 per employee per month. This is the way we prefer to do it because we got some market feedback from our customers that it is really a bummer when the softwares have all these hidden fees. So that's why our pricing might be $1 or $2 more expensive than what you're getting quoted from Gusto or ADP. But that's because we package it all in and you end up saving a little bit in the long run.
That's a really good point, Molly. And actually, speaking of Gusto and other payroll providers, I think a lot of childcare providers don't want to switch. They're already set up, they're operating, they're paying their employees. So why go through the hassle of switching softwares? It can feel quite daunting or not worth it. So how does Playground help overcome that for people who switch to payroll?
Yes, this is something I've seen in the payroll industry for years, that it can be difficult to get off one payroll software and move to the other, which is why we built a system called embedded setup for anyone that's coming from another software. So with embedded setup, we gain access to your previous payroll provider. You grant us a login, and then we go in there and we transfer over all of your information. So the setup process is really easy. It's like about 10 minutes where we meet and do that exchange of information. And then my team on the back end works on transferring over all of your employees' payroll history and all the tax history for what's happened in the year to date.
Sounds super easy.
It is super easy.
Cool. So we're going to move on to some questions now. If anyone has any questions about payroll or getting started, feel free to pop them in the chat and we'll get them answered now. We did have a couple questions emailed through to us ahead of the webinar, so we might just start with those to get the ball rolling. Molly, first one was, how do I get my employees their W-2s at the end of the year?
Good question. So W-2s can be sent out by mail or electronically. So when your employees join payroll, they can decide whether they want to receive a digital W-2 or if they want it mailed to them. And then at the end of the year, we confirm all of the employees' mailing addresses and we send those W-2s off, whether it is to their physical mailing address or their email. I also wanted to say that if anyone wants to ask a question, you can also feel free to just unmute and just speak into the webinar.
Do have a second one here that was sent through to us earlier. When can I switch over to payroll if I'm interested? Do I need to wait until January 1? Do I need to wait till the end of the quarter? When can I do it?
You do not need to wait till the end of the quarter or the end of the year. With the embedded setup, it makes for a really seamless tax transition. So we get all of your payroll information from the year, and we find out what taxes have been paid and which taxes haven't been paid. And then we take over from your previous payroll provider and start sending those taxes off. It makes it really easy to switch mid-quarter or mid-year.
Oh, awesome. And Christina's got a question here in the chat. I'm just going to read it out in case anyone can't see the chat. But Christina says, we currently do payroll on a bi-weekly basis. Is any schedule doable? And is the cost still $10 per month, no matter how many payrolls we run that month?
I get this question all the time because other payroll providers charge per pay run. That's not how we do things. It is a per month charge. So if you have weekly payrolls and you're running 4 payrolls per month, we only charge you for the total number of employees who are paid. So if Daniel's paid 4 times and I am paid 4 times, that counts as 2. It's just 2 employees who were paid.
And it's still just that $10 for the month, even though they're getting paid 4 times.
Yeah, you can run as many payrolls as you want. And like I showed you briefly in the demo, when I ran that off-cycle payroll, you can also run off-cycle payrolls. So if I have like a bonus that needs to go out, that's not going to go out in the normal pay run, or I have a contractor who just came in for a day and I want to run it through the system, you can run more than your regularly scheduled payrolls.
Awesome. Any other questions? Feel free to pop them in the chat or come off mute and ask us. We'd love to answer them. We've got one here from Victoria. I'll just read it out again. So if someone goes on maternity leave of FMLA and are not receiving a payroll, will we still pay $10, or is it only when the payroll is run for that individual?
Yep, so it's only when payroll is run for that individual. So if one employee doesn't receive pay for the month, you're not being charged for that employee.
And Molly, another question is if for some reason you only pay yourself that month or you're not paying anyone else, are you still paying the base fee even if you're not paying?
Yep, the base fee always runs through. It's because on the back end, we're still doing all the tax work. So even if you stop paying employees, we're still handling those taxes for you.
Awesome.
Okay, any other questions? Covered quite a bit.
Yeah.
For employees. Oh, sorry, Daniel. I took over your of reading the question.
You're all good. Go
You
ahead.
are thinking about it right, Amanda. For 25 employees, it would be around $290 a month. So 25 times 10, then plus that base 40.
And then that cost would stay consistent every month if you're paying those 25 employees every single month through Playground.
Another thing I will mention is that we have access for you to the payroll tax filings that are sent off. So I mentioned in the tax section that we take care of the sending the payroll taxes to the agencies and the tax filings. And you can see all of those tax filings in your provider paperwork section. So in Playground, there's paperwork for student staff, and then you have another tab for provider paperwork. And you'll see a payroll tab at the top when you enroll, and this has all of your tax documents. Okay, we have another question from Tisha. When does the payment come out for the monthly cost and employees? So that depends on when you start your subscription. So if the subscription was started today, it would be on the 12th of every month, and then we would be looking back at the period of the 12th to the 11th. Okay, Amanda is asking, how do benefits work? Can we do deductions for employee childcare and for benefit options? Thank you so much for asking this, Amanda, because I feel like I breezed over it and should have said a little bit more. So on the payroll tab, we have deductions where you can set up post-tax deductions and benefits. So some schools have childcare fees deducted from employees' payroll as a post-tax deduction, and we can add them to Playground here so that they come out on every pay run. You can also add benefits. So if you have anything that comes out pre-tax, you can add them on this screen. So that could be a 401k, medical, dental, vision. Another thing that could come out are child support garnishments. So if you receive a notice in the mail that you need to garnish an employee's wages, you can do that through Playground as well. One other cool thing when it comes to benefits is that we have some integrated options. So if you don't currently offer health insurance, but you would like to, you can get set up with a plan through Playground. So I've already started working on all these in my demo school. This one right here is this simply insured option. And this allows me to choose a health insurance package that I can offer to employees. Then all of the deductions for health insurance would be automatically added to payroll based on the employees who are enrolled. We also have an integration for workers' comp that you can set up through Playground. That's the one that says next agent, and 401k. So same thing goes for 401k. The deductions for 401k would be automatically deducted based on employee elections. You wouldn't have to manually add them through the deductions tab.
So it's truly all in one, Molly, huh?
Yes, that is the real vision.
These were some great questions. Thank you, everyone. And as we mentioned, we'll send you out the recording after, so you can go back and reference anything we discussed today. If you have any questions that weren't answered or you still have in mind, feel free to reach out to Molly directly. She's our payroll expert, as I mentioned at the beginning. Molly will be happy to reply and answer anything related to payroll. For Playground customers, you should feel empowered to go and add payroll to your subscription today. You can do that by accessing the payroll tab in Playground and self-serve add-on. Of course, you'll still have your account managers to support you through onboarding and getting set up. But just wanted to preface that you are definitely able to do that. And Molly, we had another question come through. So if you pay a contractor such as a cleaning company, do you also pay $10 for the month you paid them?
That is correct. So if you want to pay the cleaning company through Playground and have that go as a direct deposit, you could definitely do so. And then you would pay the $10 for the month that you paid them. So in some instances, if you're having someone come every week or every month, it might be convenient to get them set up in the system for automated payments. Okay, thank you all so much. And as Daniel said, you can definitely reach out to me. Feel free to screenshot this, take a picture of it so you have my email address. But you can also find it if you go to tryplayground.com/payroll.
Yep, and we'll definitely be in touch later this afternoon with the link to access the recording and some other resources. But thank you so much for joining us, everyone.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you.